I would like to introduce our very first speaker. Our first speaker has been building community for decades. He began like a lot of us, scrappy, bootstrapped, and on a very small team of very passionate people. His dream of connecting with his peers has become the largest community for entrepreneurs in the world, with over 600 chapters and 2 million community members. And they just had nearly 10,000 people from over 125 countries attend virtual events in one single month. So please join me in welcoming, with a huge virtual standing ovation, Derek Andersen.
Thank you, Beth. It is great to be here, and what a warm welcome to the entire community. I am excited to share my point of view on the current state of community as we chart a new course for the future in this uncertain world. I first attended CMX Summit in 2016, and I remember sitting in the audience on the edge of my seat as amazing people shared their successes and failures of building a community. Bevy acquired CMX in 2019, and it's been a privilege to be on the CMX team since then. David asked me to speak about how virtual events are impacting the community industry. I see virtual events as a massive opportunity to elevate community professionals to greater importance and value inside of organizations. Let me explain why. If someone would have told me what 2020 would be like, not in my wildest dreams would I have believed them. I have worked harder this year than I have ever worked before. And as community builders, we have all loved connecting with people over the years in person, but that's not happening. Almost all events got canceled. South by Southwest, Dreamforce, X4, Adobe Max, and Beth's personal favorite, Comic-Con. A few months ago, we were sitting around wondering what our purpose was. And we realized it's not about in-person events. It never really was. It's really about community. And so this year has actually been about doubling down on our true purpose. For those that don't know my background, Beth introed me beautifully, but Bevy, our product, was created by the team behind Startup Grind. And Startup Grind needed a platform to allow the most passionate startups in every city to bring together their local community. And that's how Bevy was born. And we now help others do the same, empowering those who care to create and connect through events all around the world. This is me 10 years ago in my garage, hosting one of my first Startup Grind community events with my co-founder and others. And this is me today, back in the garage. Just so you know that I'm telling the truth here. Just flip it around, you can see it. I'm still trying to build community, but in an entirely different way. When we looked at what was happening in the world, we realized that in a weird way, 2020 might be the year where the world finally realized the true promise of the internet. We human beings found that we can virtually connect, gather, and work in ways we only dreamed of previously. It's no wonder the world's great companies are investing billions of dollars in virtual events and conferences. And of course, these events and conferences have been a huge success, right? Well, not exactly. Not even close, in fact. While human connections flourish on digital platforms, these events have left marketers and attendees wholly underwhelmed. Only a small percentage of event creators said virtual had exceeded physical expectations. When we looked at what was going on, we realized something really important was missing. The one thing that makes it all work, and it's why we're all here. It's community. Community is the magic ingredient that turns a strictly transactional interaction into a group of people gathering, relating again and again around a brand or product they love. For attendees and marketers alike, it's about the community, not the venue, the people, not the transaction. Community is where the real value is. And let's face it, virtual events and conferences have a lot of problems. Virtual conferences aren't designed for 365-day year-round engagement. They're usually a one and done type of experience, feeling extremely transactional. Current solutions don't work across the ways people want to gather. both globally and locally. Say it with me at home, glocal. I'll give you another shot here. 1, 2, 3, glocal. Okay, now your family thinks you're choking. For marketers, the limited data provided by these platforms is event-based, not customer, and community-based. And often, this data is owned by the platform provider, not the company or cause. Even worse, that data is often shared with competitors or used to help build the platform. The tools are far too fragmented for the needs that we have as community builders. So event and community professionals like us string together a ragtag collection of apps, zaps, and spreadsheets. My marketing VP came up with that line. It's really good. Without a single holistic system to manage the work, marketers have little chance of triggering and making use of community's powerful network effects. Point is, virtual events aren't purpose-built for the community needs of enterprises, and so they fall woefully short. We call this the virtual engagement gap. And as you hear that, maybe you can think back to some past events where you felt a gap in what you were experiencing. The ramifications are huge. It means that virtual conferences end up feeling transactional, more like direct response marketing than true engagement, and companies miss out on a chance to connect with attendees on a deeper level. Another problem is that brands know that word of mouth from customers that love and drive results for their brands better than anything else. But using today's virtual event tools, companies are unable to identify which attendees are the most loyal because they have no historical event data. When brands run virtual events on someone else's digital venue, they're missing a massive growth opportunity. There's no way to harness powerful network effects that community provides because engagement ends on the last day of the event. In my opinion, brands should stop sacrificing their own community to help build someone else's platform. But it doesn't have to be this way. And in fact, I am certain with what I've seen over the last 6 months that the future will be entirely different. I believe the last day of every virtual conference will soon be seen as the first day of building a vibrant community that drives retention, expansion, and acquisition of new customers. The world's best companies have already seen virtual events, conferences, field marketing, and user groups as integrated parts of a holistic community effort, all working in unison towards success. It's not just CMX closing the virtual engagement gap. Other great brands are doing it. Let me share 3 of my favorite examples from communities we work with at Bevy. The first is Webflow. Webflow's World Tour happened over 3 weeks in August. They hosted 9 virtual conferences across 8 time zones. Thousands of people joined to listen, learn, and network with other Webflow connections. What's incredible about this is it was a collaboration between so many different groups at Webflow: community, field marketing, and events. Webflow was able to make their conference the beginning of a community movement, resulting in 100 attendees applying to start a local Webflow community. This is a great example of how you can turn your virtual conference into a community growth engine. Let's talk about Google developer groups. While building Startup Grind over the past 10 years, I have always looked to GDG to see how to push my community further than I thought was ever possible. And in a post-COVID era, if anything, they're just speeding up. DevFest is an annual conference that they host in local cities around the world. In years past, it was all in person, but this year it's all virtual. It's happening next weekend. They decided to move all the conferences online, and in just 10 days, they're going to host 200 events for more than 100.
Hey, everybody. We are experiencing some technical difficulties, but would it be a virtual event if we didn't experience some? And so we love your patience and we love your continued positivity as we try to get Derek back onto our stage. So thanks, everybody.
Okay, when you have 4 kids and they all are on Zoom on their conference calls all day long, your internet goes out. What I was speaking about is Startup Grind and this amazing program that we have running in October. This month, in 100 cities, we will feature Black CEOs, founders, thought leaders, and innovators to learn from them about them and their journeys and rally our community around elevating these incredible Black voices. Of all community work Startup Grind has done in the last 10 years, this is one of the programs I am most proud of. And in October, 2 or 3 years from now, I hope to feature 1,000 Black leaders on Startup Grind stages in a single month. Even small community teams with limited resources and without a world-renowned brand can create gatherings during COVID that can change the world. What I have learned from communities like Webflow, Google, and Startup Grind is this. When it comes to building a virtual community and virtual events, the great companies design programs for smaller local events, user groups, field marketing, and they design them flexible enough to do so much more. These programs need to handle high volume of different types of events. You need to create flexible experiences based on what your community needs right at that moment. You shouldn't be afraid to host large-scale events and conferences with booths, networking, things like you're seeing at CMX today. When appropriate, go all out. Deliver an experience that sucks your community in for 4 or 5 hours or for a few days. Other often large, complex community events are left to the event or field marketing teams. Work with those teams to deliver something new and amazing that never existed before COVID. Start with a virtual conference and end with a community. Community is a powerful moat for companies because it's the only thing competitors can't copy. And I'm not the only person that knows this. Nearly 80% of founders reported building a community of users as important to their business, with 28% describing it as their moat and critical to their success. This is my Rudy speech. As somebody who's been in the community world for more than 10 years, I deeply believe that this moment in time can be special for community professionals. This is the moment the tide will turn and the world will start to finally grok the deep inviting value of the community work that you're all doing. In a unique way, the community industry can thrive during COVID. Community professionals can thrive during COVID. But you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once. That's Eminem. That's plagiarism. That's, again, my marketing team. They're not flawless, but hopefully you get the idea. What you might ask is, why do I feel so strongly about the importance of community in the future of marketing? I say that because at the center of great marketing tools of the future is a community success engine. It connects valuable customer data across every branded event and interaction, and it syncs with your systems of record. Selfishly, this is what we've been building at Bevy for years. But I believe all marketing systems of record will engage community like this in the future. And you are the ones building community at your companies, putting you at the center of the future of marketing. And that is incredibly exciting. I'm going to get off my cardboard box in my garage here. But let me close by just saying how proud I am of the CMX community. You are all amazing. The work you do is so valuable. Don't let anyone tell you it's not. The relationship you're building with your customers, your users, or the people that believe in your cause is the most important tie your company has to those people. More than 2/3 of the talks this year are coming straight from community practitioners, people in the trenches. We'll also have a dozen C-level executives to reinforce that community is no longer a nice to have for a lot of companies. It's a must have. And we need CEOs and we need CMOs, COOs, everyone else in the C-suite and very, very soon, chief community officers, that if that person isn't you, they will beg for your help right before you're promoted to that job. CMX is committed to driving that message with decision makers so that all boats will rise and community professionals can thrive. If I can be helpful in any way, please let me know. I'll be at the sessions all day the next few days. I'd love to meet. You can send me a direct message in the chat here in the tool, or you can send me an email at derek@bevy.com. I want to thrive during COVID, and I want you to as well. I believe COVID will be the catalyst for our industry, a catalyst to finally come out of the shadows and be recognized for the amazing work that you're all doing and have been doing. Let's do something big together. Let's grow. Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you,
Standing ovation, everybody. Thanks, Derek. That was wonderful. I really love that man on the moon footprint picture at the end. That's fantastic. So I do actually have a couple of questions for you, if we can ask some. So on the subject of virtual events, what has surprised you? What have you learned about virtual community events that has surprised you in the last few months?
I mean, before COVID, I was definitely an in-person person, as I've heard some people say. At Startup Grind, we've done 15,000 in-person events. But what's amazed me is that in the right scenario, the right situation, you can actually create an experience virtually that feels very community driven. And I don't think that was really as possible before COVID happened. And so I'm just really excited about, while, nothing beats human contact or human interaction, some virtual experiences, if done thoughtfully, can really make a difference.
I have another question for you. How do you foster a sense of a community identity when you're organizing power to someone else and they're on the other side of the world?
You have to find people that match your values. And sitting in this garage, about 8 years ago, we started bringing other people in to start their own chapters. And these were people we never met, some that still run them that I've only met once or twice. I think generally speaking, you have to believe that humans are usually good and usually decent, and when you give them trust and power to take on your brand or to be an extension of your brand, that they're gonna be fair about it and they're gonna be good about it. And in my experience, in the thousands of organizers I've worked with, the vast majority, 99% of those, end up doing more and helping you more than you could have ever imagined. And so, people that align with your values can do great things on top of your brand if you give them a platform to be successful.
Very cool. Thanks, Derek. Let's see. Looks like we don't have very many questions from the audience. So I would suggest, as we close Derek's session, we're going to show a short video from Bevy about the new virtual event platform. Thanks for being with us, Derek.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day, everyone.